This is the rise of the end of the absolute monarch. So how did we get rid of those kings and queens in England? In 1509, King Henry was a Protestant, and he started a little conflict between Protestants and Catholics. He didn't like what the Catholic Church was doing, so he separated. He made his own church called the Church of England. Moving on to 1553, he dies and his daughter takes over. Her name was Mary, and she was a Catholic, and for some reason she did not like Protestants too much, and she started killing them. She got the nickname Bloody Mary. She didn't last very long, though. In 1558, her half-sister Elizabeth takes over, and she was Protestant, so we go back to Protestant. Parliament is not liking this. The government officials are like, hey, come on, this is ridiculous. We should end up having a government. It shouldn't be influenced by religion, but it was nonetheless. 1603, King James takes over, and he says, by divine right of the kings, he is in control. And this is not good for Parliament. When someone says, God has told me to rule you people, that's not good for government. That's not good for policymakers. So Parliament did not like him very much. Moving on to 1625, Charles I takes over, and he says goodbye to Parliament, gets rid of them. Says, we don't need you, I'm in control. Remember, divine right of kings. So get out of here, policymakers. And that causes a lot of problems and leads to the English Civil War. This was from 1642 to 1651. It was basically Parliament versus the king and his followers. So we have the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers were for the king, and we had the Roundheads. The Roundheads were for the government. And the result of this, the government wins. And what happens to the King Charles? He was beheaded. So time passes on, and we have a military general who fought in the English Civil War. His name was Oliver Cromwell. And they said, will you please be king? He says, absolutely not. I do not want to be king, but you can call me Lord Protector. I love this place, and I'm going to protect it. Unfortunately, he became evil and corrupt and pretty much ran as a king and a dictator. He dies, and Charles II takes over, and this is called the Restoration. He kills all the Protestants. He's Catholic. He's a bad guy. And that moves on to King James II, who kills Protestants because he's a Catholic. And he starts canceling laws against Catholics, so basically giving them free cards. So he's not exactly a good guy either. And that leads the people to send a letter over to the Netherlands, where William and Mary are living and ruling the Netherlands. And they say, please come in and attack. Get these guys out of here. We don't want King James here. So they send a letter. They say, okay, we'll attack. They end up coming to attack. And what happens? James flees to France. William and Mary take over and are now joint kings and queens, but they do something revolutionary. They make a Bill of Rights, giving people rights. This is something new. This means that no longer are the king and queen absolute.